So, this is the Calicaster, and this is just a weird sciencey quickie thingy. Having with Mark's cards last Thursday, we did discuss the upcoming episode that was airing, that I'd put out, was aired. I hadn't watched it yet. The Gluons episode, and in the script that he wrote, there was a particle mentioned, the gluon particle mentioned in it, although this is not really about the script or anything. Some Star Trek episodes have mentioned the gluon. So what is the gluon? So I looked up. So this is not really about the script, or that did not obviously was not a Star Trek pitch at all. They should have realized that, and it was a very niche script that was never pitched to Star Trek, because that's impossible in 2015 to have done that, and impossible even now. But anyway, so are what they describe gluons in Star Trek. It was also mentioned, the gluon thing was mentioned in the script, because he decided to find a word and use it. Probably because Big Bang Theory mentioned it, and he was really into that, so he mentioned it. The guy who wrote the script. That did not become a show or a movie or anything, so, Anyway, but yes, the other Star Trek stories mentioned the gluons. It doesn't mean he thought of it. It means it was something to mention. It was a coincidence. Now, we have the gluon is an elementary particle, helps with the binding agent of atoms and electrons, protons, that kind of thing. But it is not the glue. See, in the episode of the Omega mines and stuff, and it was mentioned on Voyager, and then in Starfleet Academy, in an episode of Lower Decks, they're not used. They're not the glue. They're not the adhesive. They're just called that because the guy in the '60s, the physicist that thought of it, was like, oh, this sounds like a cool name to name something. Around the time of the mid-2010s, we discovered the Higgs boson. It was a different particle. It was with the gluons are related to the Higgs boson. It's the God particle, basically. The other thing that helps with the binding of the particle. I suppose if they had said it correctly, this is a quickie, they should have said that the Omega particle mines were using Higgs bosons and boson particles and gluons to be the glue. That would have made sense. Anyway, so but yeah, I guess they didn't want to throw in some other particles in there just to confuse things. Gluon and disconnect. Yeah, they mentioned versions of how gluons could break up in Star Trek, but if they did, the particle would disintegrate. Yeah. So they're not quite glue. They're not the adhesive. They're part of the strong force, the weak force going together with atoms. From what I'm able to gather from this very complicated explanation. Another one of those Star Trek words that kind of sounds similar, like to something real. It's something slightly not real. Like dilithium was originally lithium. But then they're like, in the original Star Trek, and they were like, oh, that's a real thing. We can't really call it lithium because that's a gas. So we should name it dilithium just to make it sound differently. That's a crystal for some reason. But certain elements can exist in different forms depending on temperature. Like you can have a very cold place like the planet Titan where water acts like a stone, like a solid. Methane. And methane would be a liquid. Kind of a dripping sort of liquid. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, there's other things. I'm sure there's other people out there that got more science background things that can figure that out. I'm more of a journalism, sci-fi writer guy. but yeah, that's what a gluon is. And even though they tried to make it Rubin particles in that Academy episode, so they could make a joke, Rubin Con, they were in fact making a typo. They should have called them Rubicon particles, not Rubin particles. The language doesn't change like that in 700 years. They should have just called it Rubicon. The point of no return was referred to the river at the end of the Roman Empire when the Visigoths were coming over the hill. I said, we call it Rubicon. It wasn't. It was called Rubicon. It's the Rubin particles. Yes, but that's wrong. So yeah, that was a typo. Even though on Memory Alpha it said it wasn't. Anyways, other goofy things. I think I mentioned some star stuff too. But I just thought I would chime in about the gluons. Nothing about the story or the script or anything, the gluons.